إن الله لا يخلف الميعاد إن الذين كفروا لن تغني عنهم أموالهم ولا أولادهم من الله شيئا
أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان المريد الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا ومولانا محمد عبد الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Well, welcome you again to your weekly darling program, Islam, the Union of Peace, on FUTA Radio 93.1 FM. As usual, this is the program where we'll, as much as possible, try to present Islam as a solution to some of the world or national problems. As a religion of peace, we believe firmly that Islam has a solution to all the problems around, and we try in our little way to see how we can make Islam a viable option as a solution to some of these problems. And some weeks ago, we indeed started a discourse on a very topical issue, what we call the institution of character formation, because we strongly believe that most problems we have in society today emanates from the abnormality in man's character. I remember I've said before now that man have learned to fly in the air better than birds, and that man has perfected the act of swimming in oceans better than fishes. What man seems to be lacking today is to live on earth as human being, his natural abode. So if man has found it difficult to live peacefully on earth where it's only meant for, something is fundamentally wrong. And I think that thing has to do essentially with the character of man. And in providing solutions to this character misinformation, character dislocation of human being, we have identified three essential institutions for character formation, and it's our view to x-ray into detail these institutions of character formation, and we hope that this may take us quite some reasonable time. This institution, as specified by my host, are one, the family institution, which is the first and fundamental institution of learning and character formation; two, the religious institution; and three, the institution of learning. These three institutions are essentially, in their goal and aim, are meant to form what is essentially called man. What is called man is not the body. What is called man is the character of that person. So our characters are actually formed through our interaction, our socialization with these three institutions. And we started with the family. We have said that the family essentially is made up of two people, because as far as Islam is concerned, the only basis for forming family is marriage. And marriage is essentially between two people, a man and a woman. I said before now that children are, as far as I'm concerned, a waste product or a byproduct of this relationship that is called marriage. So essentially, in the larger part, the family is of three. The marriage is essentially two people. The family essentially three or more people. And we are trying to look at what Allah, the creator of man and the universe, have to say about these institutions. I posited that Allah, as specified in the Quran, told us that often He speaks to us in parable. And that through this parable, you didn't know a number of people are misguided. Out of this parable, He also guided quite a number of people, but nobody is being guided from this parable except the perverted transgressors. So we want to look at these similitudes, the parables of family, as far as Allah is concerned in the Quran. I started by looking at the two fundamental partners. What did Allah call these people in the Quran? In Surah Al-Baqarah, Allah told us that the two of them that made up this family, the man say, "Unna libasun lakum wa antum libasun lahunna." Allah say, you talking to man, you are clothed to your wives, or your wives are clothed to you, and you're also clothed to your wives. So we said, if Allah referred to the two parties in this marriage as clothed, then we ask a question: what does clothes does to body? We said in Surah Al-Ma'idah or thereabout, Allah spoke to us again about clothing. Allah said, "It's we who have revealed clothes to you for two essential reasons: one, that you may cover your nakedness, and two, that you may beautify your body." So essentially, clothing does two things for man. One, it covers and protects man away from inclement weather. If it is too cold, man will wear some sort of clothes to protect himself from the cold. If it is hot, we also change our clothes to also adapt to that situation. Of course, again, that is the fundamental primary essence of clothing. Even though today, man is fastly detaining this fundamental aspect of clothing. Man is not covering again his nakedness with clothes. Today, there are people who wear clothes and remain naked. Don't forget, the Prophet calls such people that may Allah cause be on people who wear clothes and yet they remain naked. So, because they have essentially fought the one of the essence of wearing clothes. The second thing is to beautify the body. So we posited that marriage, essentially, the husband and the wife should first and foremost protect one another from inclement weather from the environment. These weather conditions could be in form of the extended family, it could be in form of peer group, it could be in form of society and association, and so on and so forth. The threat of television, and so on and so forth. We must protect one another. Islam expects a married person essentially to be protected from the environmental hazards, and that is why when in Yoruba it is believed that there is no respect for a woman without husband, the same way there is no also respect for a king without a queen. So it brings this degree of respect, and of course we are accorded a degree of respect and responsibility. Whoever is not married is essentially seen, apology to my man behind the corner, as somebody who is grossly irresponsible, because marriage comes essentially with responsibility. And so this is what clothes should do. And of course we say it should also beautify one another, in the sense that if a man goes out harshly dressed and his people will ask, what has he not a wife? But has gotten to the wife. The same thing goes on. So we are essentially meant to beautify and add beauty to one another. This beauty could be in terms of physical beauty, could be in terms of emotional beauty, could be in terms of intellectual beauty. We must add value, in essence, to one another after marriage. I have value for my house. I have married a man of value. We must add value to one another. We said this is what Allah has spoken about. But the fundamental question is, how many married people actually protect one another? How many people indeed enjoying their marriage? For according to Allah, the marriage is meant to be enjoyed. But what we find today is that most people are enduring their marriage rather than enjoying their marriage. So that is at the point which we stopped before my good brother Sadiq Allah came last week due to some reasons I couldn't be here on time to talk about how to raise children. But I think that is fast jumping the gun. Today, essentially, after this short break, we'll come back and discuss what the Allah say about the man, what the Allah called him, what the similitude of the man in the family, what the similitude of the woman in the family, what the similitude of the children in the family. These are things we hope to do, if time permits, inshallah, after this short break.
آل إبراهيم وآل عمران على العالمين ذرية بعضها من بعض والله سميع عليم إذ قالت امرأة عمران رب إني نذرت لك ما في بطني محررا فتقبل مني إنك أنت السميع العليم فلما وضعتها قالت رب إني وضعتها أنثى والله أعلم بما وضعت وليس الذكر كالأنثى وإني سميتها مريم وإني أعيذها بك وذريتها من الشيطان الرجيم فتقبلها ربها بقبول.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is FUTA Radio. If you are just joining us, it is our FUTA Radio 93.1, and this is our favorite program, which comes up every Friday, as we all know, Al-Islam, the religion of peace. Now, Alhamdulillah, the Imam has actually recapped what was discussed last week, which was what the similitude of the family as a cloth. So inshallah, as he promised that he would discuss the similitude of individuals, that is the man, the woman, and the children in the family. So we would put it out to the Imam to make more, to expatiate, to make exegesis of this topic, inshallah. Ya Imam.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim wa binasta'in. Salatu wassalamu ala Rasulullah. As we said, we promised to discuss the similitude for members of this family. Why? Because it is important for us to start from the premise that everybody can know where and what is expected of him arising from this similitude. We have spoken about the similitude of the marriage, the two partners, that the sense of the marriage is for us to cover one another and to beautify one another. The man that is marrying is referred to, according to Allah, as part of his own similitude. Allah said in Quran chapter 4 verse 34, Allah said, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, Arijalu Qawwamuna ala Nisa. Allah refers to man as Qawwamun to the woman. In other words, the man is, what is a Qawwamun? A Qawwamun is a pillar. Allah said the man is indeed the pillar for the woman in marriage, and I gave reasons why I made man this pillar. One is that because of what he spent on the woman, and two, because Allah has also favored him. Essentially, because naturally, and speaking from the background of my profession as an architect, a pillar is essentially the main support for frame structure. In other words, if you are planning to build a house of, we call them a high-rise building, what you do essentially is to erect pillars. These pillars have the responsibility of providing what I call the structural stability for the building. So the duty of the pillar is essentially to provide stability for the building. And so the strength of a building is actually a measure of the strength of the pillars. If the pillars are weak, the building will not stand the test of time. We have often heard about collapsed buildings everywhere, often. And of course, the essential thing that could bring about that is the fact that the pillar is weak. And so for the pillar to be strong, we are saying that and be able to withstand all the imposed load, because nearly the pillars bears all the loads on the building. For it to be able to do this effectively, the pillar must therefore be constituted of what I call all the necessary elements, or in good mix and in right proportions. Let me explain what I mean. For the people who may not be in the building industry, if you are building a pillar, for example, you need what we call reinforcement of right proportion. It's not enough to say, we have put reinforcement of 10 mm when you are having a building that is going 10-story building. So this, essentially, a pillar is made up of these four components. One, the reinforcement. Three, what we call the coarse aggregate, we call it gravel. What we call the fine aggregate, which we call sand, the cement and water. And you have what we call adhesive. These five essential components are what must be present in a good pillar. But they are not, should not only be present, they must be present in right proportion and in good mix. Otherwise, the pillar will fail to perform the duty of carrying the loads. So what are we talking about? We are saying Allah refers to the man as the Qawamun, as the pillar for the woman. Meaning that the man, therefore, his responsibility, his main responsibility is to support the family. To this extent, the man must provide all the necessary support for the family, must provide the economic support for the family, must provide the spiritual support for the family, the moral support, every necessary support falls directly on the shoulder of the man as the pillar of the house. So it is not something to be bragging about, that I am the pillar of the house. No, yes, you are the pillar of the house, but if you know what responsibility comes on the pillar, you probably will run away from being the pillar of the house, because you directly bear all the loads that will come on the family. These loads could be in form of blame, in form of abuses, whatever load that comes on the family is directly placed on the man. And I give an example. When Adam and Eve were in the Garden of Eden, and Allah commanded not to eat of the forbidden tree, eventually something led to nothing, they ate the forbidden fruit. Allah did not direct, if you look at the two scriptures, Allah did not direct his accusation to the woman. He pointed to the man, Adam, why have you done this? Why? Because he's the pillar of the family. So he's directly responsible for the family. So he bears the load. He accepts responsibility for both the asset and liability of the family. So the man essentially must provide this. He must be willing to provide this support. He must show, in doing this, he must be willing to show understanding, must be willing to show strength and love, so that he can perform to the family, that he can perform this responsibility. The strength of the man is indeed a measure of the duration and the lifespan of the family. Just like the strength of the pillar also determines the duration of the lifespan of the building. If the pillar is weak, the building will not stand the test of time. And so if the man is also weak, if the man is weak spiritually, if he's weak morally, if he's weak economically, the man will not stand, the family will not stand the test of time. If where there is love, genuine love, and the man is poor economically, the love will also be poor. Where there is genuine love, but the man is poor, the love will also be poor. But if the man is rich economically, rich spiritually, rich morally, the love will be rich. So there is need for the man to continuously was improving his strength, so that he can drive the family forward. The man must be ready to bear all the loads that will come on family. I've said this load could be in form of blames. Your wife has done something outside that she ought not to have done. You don't say it's a bad woman. No, you take responsibility. You accept the blame for whatever she has done. I remember I've mentioned in this radio that a woman essentially is like an empty jar. So whatever she does outside is a reflection of what she has been taught home. And I did mention that a woman is a perpetual student of three men. She's under perpetually, as far as Islam is concerned. A woman is perpetually under the protection and guidance of somebody. If she's not under the guidance of her parents, who must groom and nurse her to the stage of maturity, where and when she's left or given out to the man will say, no, this is Ebenezer, where God has helped me. Man, take responsibility. So it's given to a man as husband, as a wife. And the man is unfortunately called the groom, the bridegroom on the day of the marriage. The lady is a bride. The man is the bridegroom. The meaning of grooming is to nurse somebody. So your responsibility is to continue to groom the lady, because it has not been fully groomed. You keep grooming her. So it's not the bridegroom. You put on the plate number like the lady is bride. But the meaning is that you are accepting responsibility to continue to groom the woman. So if she misbehaves, don't blame her. Take responsibility. I am sorry. My wife did it. I am sorry. If she did well, you take the glory for doing it. So you are essentially must be willing to take responsibility to bear all the loads for all the actions and inactions of the family that may be imposed by anybody outside. So the man who is Kawamuna is somebody that is willing to take responsibility, to bear the load on the family. But for man to perform this responsibility effectively and efficiently, the man must, like I've mentioned, must be made up of essential components in good ratio and in good proportion. What do I mean? For a man to be able to bear these loads, it is indeed enormous load on his shoulder. So the man must be made up in right mix and in good proportion, the essential components that makes up the man. One, the man must be physically strong for him to bear it. It is not a man. Some people, there are men today, if the cockroach moves in the house, they will call on their wife. Madam, there's something, go and kill it. No, you will not be performing the responsibility of a kawamun, a pillar. Somebody knocks on your door, then open the door. You say, please cover me up. I want them to let me be under the bed. Cover me up. Go and do it. Though you always say that, you know. But it is the right of the man who wants to come out and say, I am the man. I have a wife at home. You must be willing to, you must train yourself to be physically strong. That is the first mix. Two, you must also be spiritually strong. In the right proportion. Spiritually strong in that, see, I'll get to the point that if a man, I said it here too, that the family that prays together stays together. So the man must not, when the woman is sleeping at night, the man should be able to wake up and call on God. That it takes more than Solomon wisdom to nurse a marriage to prosperity. So you need indeed God wisdom. You must rely on all the spiritual fortification. You must fortify yourself spiritually to be able to mend. This is a woman you have taken from a different background entirely. She's coming with both her asset and liability to your house. It could come with spiritual liability. She could be obanged, she could be anything. So you need to be spiritually strong to be able to wither the tides of time. Of course, you must also be intellectually sound, because the woman looks up to you. Is it in Islamic context? They call our mothers, call our fathers afami, afami, afami. The concept of afami is that is somebody I can always ask. If I'm not clear, look, I will ask the man, what did I say about this? But this is a man who knows next to nothing. So the man must be intellectually strong, must be knowledgeable enough so able to guide the woman. The women by nature are weak physically, weak spiritually. They could be stronger spiritually, they could be weaker intellectually. They needed to be guided such that they can indeed, when they turn up to you, to look up to you as, what should we do? It should not be a good command to say, whatever you want us to do, I will do now. It is for you to give direction. This is what we are going to do. And you lead by example. So to be able to do that successfully, you need intellectual strength to be able to say it, so that you are not leading them as they say, ku anfusakum wa alaykum nar. Protect yourself and that of your family from hell. So you must know what it takes to enter hell. You must know what it takes to protect yourself. Not only yourself now, you must also protect your family. In other words, you must provide direction, guidance. You remember the scripture given by President Sam about a man who knows how to swim very well, but fails to teach his family members swimming. And he put all of them on a boat and they were going on. Along the way, the boat capsized. The man said, me, I can swim. The man attempted to swim. The woman just hold one of his leg, one of the sons hold the other leg, the other one hold the other. All of them will do what? All of them will perish automatically. Then I say, ku and fusakum wa alaykum. You must protect and protect members of your family. Give them necessary and correct direction. The man, of course, must be economically strong. And that is why Islam have said that those of you who are capable should go and marry. If you are not capable, Allah said you should keep fasting till Allah will open out His way for you. So you must have at least a source of income, no matter how small, no matter how short. These are what we call kawamun. These are the necessary prelude to be able to do what you need to do. Inshallah, we'll go on short break. When we come back, we will continue our discourse.
إليك إلا ما دمت عليه قائما ذلك بأنهم قالوا ليس علينا في الأميين سبيل ويقولون على الله الكذب وهم يعلمون بلى من أوفى بعهده واتقى فإن الله يحب المتقين إن الذين يشترون بعهد الله وأيمانهم ثمنا قليلا أولئك لا خلاق لهم في الآخرة ولا يكلمهم الله ولا ينظر إليهم يوم القيامة ولا يزكيهم ولهم عذاب أليم وإن منهم لفريقا يلوون ألسنتهم بالكتاب لتحسبوه من الكتاب وما هو من الكتاب ويقولون هو من عند الله وما هو من عند الله ويقولون على الله الكذب وهم يعلمون ما كان لبشر أن يؤتيه الله الكتاب والحكم والنبوة ثم يقول للناس
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It is Al-Islam on FUTA Radio, the religion of Al-Islam on FUTA Radio, the religion of peace. So inshallah, the Imam actually discussed what the sovereignty of man is in the family. So he actually made an explanation about the functions of man, being he has to be physically strong, spiritually strong, intellectually strong, and economically strong as well. So inshallah, the Imam we will continue this discussion on the sovereignty of a woman, the role of a woman in the family. So, assalamu alaikum, Imam.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. All we have said so far is to say that the man is essentially a pillar for the family, for the woman. And I've said what a pillar does essentially in building. And that is what a man should do. The Bible will call it Alawudanubitipa. That is what a man is in the family. He takes responsibility for every blame. He does everything without expecting any thank you from anybody except God. But this is man. What is Allah call woman? Allah again in Surah Al-Baqarah refers verse 223. Allah said, "Our wives are arithul lakum." Your wives are your farm. Enter your farm, limashita, the way you like, but make provisions forward and fear Allah. This verse is very instructive about what a woman is in the family. Allah says, your wife are your farm. What is farming? What does people do in farm? What are the requisites for successful farming? A man, like a teacher, is like a farmer. A man in the family is like a farmer. And for anybody to be successful farmer, you have to understand some basic things. You want to get married, you are entering into farming. No wonder that most prophets of God were farmers. God said all the prophets of Allah were shepherds. Because it's God, man is goatier than goat. So for you to be able to direct man, learn first the patience of directing goats, cows. You probably learn the wisdom in guiding man. So all the prophets of God were shepherds. They at one time or the other led and direct animals. so that they can successfully direct human being that is called the higher animal. So, and that's the form of farming, indeed. So, for you to be a successful husband, you must have a good knowledge of farming. One, I will limit, probably because of time, limit farming to agricultural produce. One, if you want to go to marriage, you must farming like marriage. You must understand there are different types of soils. Elementary knowledge of science told us that one, there are clay soils, there are loamy soils, there are sandy soils. And these different types of soils have different types of produce that can grow well on them. So if my portion is a loamy soil, it will be stupid of me to compare myself with somebody who has a sandy soil or a clay soil. So, and that is why the first problem most people run into marriage is comparison. His wife is not like my wife. His wife does this. His wife, no! You have taken your own portion of a land. If it is a clay soil, please learn to manage your clay soil. Don't compare your wife with anybody. Whoever, no matter how good, your wife is a peculiar being. It's a peculiar land you have to manage. And if you are not a good manager, there's no soil that is not good for something good to come out of it. It's for you to know what kind of soil I have, and so what should I plant? How should I manage this land to get good yield? So you must do that too. You must also know that if you understand that there are different types of soil, and you have taken a particular soil, you must also have different types of agricultural produce that can be grown on that soil, so that you have what it takes to also become rich. The essence of every farming is to have good produce at the end of the day. It doesn't matter whether I am a cocoa farmer or you are yam farmer or whatever plantation. At the end of the day, we convert these things to money and have money in my pocket. So, but if, because my friend is going into cocoa plantation, so you also run into cocoa plantation without considering what kind of soil you have. And then when you have the requisite knowledge to go into cocoa farming, you run into trouble. And therefore, farming, generally speaking, requires these 5 things. One, I listed them before. I will go to some detail. I will list them first. I will some explanation within the available time limit. Now, one, a good farmer must have a good knowledge of general agric. You must have a good knowledge of general agriculture. In other words, a man that's going to marry must have generally a good knowledge of women. How does an average woman behave? What are peculiarity of women? Most mistakes people made is to think that you want your wife to be like you, to be like you. A woman is a woman, no matter how old or young. There is little difference between my daughter and my mother. They are both women. They think and reason and behave like same way. For example, every woman likes good things. Every woman, is a typical woman. It doesn't matter at spiritual level. Even wives of prophets of God also long for good things of this world. So it is natural for women to have those. The Bible told us that every woman is created from the rib. So they have that peculiarity of wanting to be crooked. It's the want to straighten them. But in straightening them, you have to be careful that you don't break them. So you must have that general knowledge about women, agriculture. 2, a good farmer must have a particular, a deep, in-depth knowledge about his own crop. I want to go into what? Into sugarcane plantation. You must do an in-depth knowledge on what kind of soil is this kind of thing required. Yes. On what kind of fertilizer will I need? What kind of pest attacks it? What do I crop these things? You need an in-depth knowledge of that. 3, you also need good and deep patience. Agriculture is time consuming. I am not aware of any agri produce that is planted today and reaped today. It takes time. So for you to benefit from your wife, you must be patient. It takes time. Groom, and between planting and harvesting, a lot of things goes into it. You do plowing sometimes, you do a lot. So the same thing goes for women. For you to be able to derive benefit from your wife, you must be ready to invest maximally into the woman. Because ultimately, like I said, that woman is like an empty jar. Whatever you invest in, is what you manifest outside. So you require patience. 3, it also have a good knowledge of weed and pest control system. The same way, if you plant good products, weeds may kill it, pests may attack it. So you must have how to control this weed. The same way there are weeds and pest control in family. You must learn to control weed and pests in the family. The weed and pests could be in form of your in-laws, could be in form of your own parents, could be in form. You must manage. How do I manage these things? How do I control this weed and pests? And finally, every farmer must be a good prayer man. Because yes, I've done all that is necessary, but the power to bring rain is not in your capacity. You must pray to God to bring rain at the appropriate time, to bring sun at the appropriate time. The same way, a good husband must learn to pray for the family. These are the essential things that Allah called the woman farm. So for a good farmer, so the man is indeed a farmer. Allah said, let him say good thing forward for his farm. So prepare the wife. Don't be mischievous to say that your wife is your farm, so you can go to it when you like. So just jump on him or her anyhow. This, I think, is how far time will probably permit us to go today. Inshallah, next when we come, we probably start from here, make some detailed explanation, and we now look at what did God call the children. What did God call the children in the family? Wallahu ta'ala alam.
Jazakallah khair ya Imam. Alhamdulillah. I will say the Imam has taken us through the similitude of man, the functions of a man and that of a woman. So inshallah next week we're gonna be making more explanations to those things, and also inshallah here we draw the curtain and we say the part of the etiquette of the Juma, we shouldn't forget that shaving the pubic hairs, reciting Surah Al-Kahf, you get to the mosque earlier before the Imam wants the minbar, and most importantly you sit down in the mosque, listen silently and calmly to the khutbah. So special appreciation goes to the school management for giving us the opportunity, and we also thank the management of FUTA Radio, and our special appreciation also goes to the man behind the console, the Skywalker, for his patience and his being with us. So inshallah, we also greet you outside for listening. We say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
كالذين تفرقوا واختلفوا من بعد ما جاء